So good evening or good day or good morning, wherever you are. It's Thursday, the 30th of July, and this is a TILT, that's Technology in Language Teaching webinar with Heidi Trude, AppSmashing with Google Geo Tools and Flipgrid in the World Language Classroom. My name's Helen Myers. I'm chair of the Association for Language Learning London branch. We always thank Heidi Trude and Linguascope, who helped us an awful lot on setting up these webinars. But the person who's really at the centre of all of this, who's been bringing all of his friends together, and it's been great to meet them, is Joe Dale. So Joe, could you introduce yourself and tell us what you can offer us?
Lovely. Thanks ever so much, Helen. Yeah, so I'm absolutely delighted we have so many world language teachers from the US here today to watch Heidi, and we're really delighted. And it's been my absolute pleasure. We've put together about 40 webinars, I think we worked out recently, since March, since lockdown started. And so that means, you know, there's hours and hours and hours of free professional development that you can check out on my YouTube channel, which you can find via Joe Dale 100. This recording right now is going to be posted onto the YouTube channel as well, so you'll be able to watch Heidi back as well. You're in for a real treat. I've seen Heidi a few times via webinars. We've not met face to face, but yeah, you're in for a real treat. So I'm delighted so many people have come along today. As a day job, I'm an independent languages consultant. I do make a living from doing webinars as well, paid webinars. So if you're interested in finding out about the sorts of things that I can do, I've just put in the chat a Google Doc with 18 example sessions. So if you would like some advice around hybrid learning or a blended approach or remote learning or whatever you're going to be doing starting in the new academic year in August or September, depending on where you are, then I'm here to help, and I'd love to help if you would like me to. And I can do webinars at any time during the day, so that's not an issue at all.
Or night.
Or night, of course, all night. Yeah, over to you, Helen.
Okay, thank you. And definitely recommend Joe, who's really very, very highly rated, I know in the UK, but also elsewhere. So thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
I would like to do a plug for the Association for Language Learning. I realise that perhaps the proportion of UK participants isn't as great in this webinar, but if you're a member of the Association for Language Learning, perhaps say in the chat that you are, but also if in your own country you are a member of an association, write it in now. Really encourage people. We think it's so important to feel part of a big community. If you join AATF, that's the UK one, and you become a member at the moment up until the 30th of September, we've got a special discount code, use webinar 10. And we have had lots of people who've joined because of these webinars, because I think they thought, yeah, we'd like to be part of this community. And I'm sure that according to your association, there'll be different offers for us. There's lots of training opportunities. That we've got a magazine which comes out regularly, but in particular, I feel that you are supporting an organisation which is listening to what's going on in languages and able to be to articulate the views of language teachers. So please do join. As Joe mentioned, all of the webinars are available on his channel. What I do in the AATF London branch is that I do a page per webinar, so that you'll have a link to Joe's channel, plus anything else, like we'll take a class photo at the end. I put all the chat there. And if there's anything that the speaker wants to share with us, it'll be a repository. So Heidi, you will have your own private page. In London.
Thank you.
Coming soon, we've got, after Joe and I are going to be taking a little bit of a break, we've got a webinar which is coming up. I don't know if you want to speak about that, Joe.
Yeah, lovely. So we have Catherine Usselin, who Heidi knows very well. Yes. Yeah, Catherine has agreed to do a webinar for us around authentic resources, particularly French authentic resources, and how to collect them together using different curation tools like Wakelet, etc. So that's going to be really, really interesting as well. We do love having people from the States as well as from Australia and other places, just to sort of learn about different ways in which world languages are taught in different countries, and around the different modes, which I know that Catherine's going to be talking about. And we had Carmen Scoggins recently, but whenever I lose track now, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we had Carmen Scoggins talking about the 3 modes. So it is like a global languages, party, as it were, I think. So it's been a real privilege, I think, to have so many different people speaking at these TILT webinars. So yeah, Catherine is awesome, and we highly recommend everyone to come along if they'd like to, live, or we can post the recording on my YouTube channel as well afterwards.
I like that. This is going to be called a global language party from now on, I think. Forget about TILT. We'll have a global language party. Oh, great. Okay, Now, one thing we always do say, whether joining us on Zoom or via YouTube, we have an etiquette, and the summary is that we are professional and we are kind. We never use our webinars for anybody to be having a little rant or saying this particular thing is best or whatever. It's always friendly and kind. We also have to always say AATF London is very happy to host speakers and participants free of charge. Speakers and participants are responsible for what they say. Right, so now, Joe, would you like to introduce our special guest?
I would love to. Thanks ever so much. So yeah, Heidi and I, we've not met face to face yet, but I hope to come to the States at some point, so we can meet up. So Heidi came up on my radar through webinars. So I watched a couple of webinars that she did, always very impressive. That's why, as I said earlier, you're in for a real treat tonight. And I noticed that she was I think I'm right in saying, the winner of the national Flipgrid AppSmashing world competition, which I'm sure she's going to mention, which is very impressive. And her winning entry, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag because I know that Heidi's going to talk about this, but I was very impressed on how she app smashed the different tools together. And then as a result of watching that, I asked Heidi to record some audio for the MFL Twitterati podcast, which she did, and we were delighted with that. And I'm sure in the future we will be asking Heidi to do a longer form interview to unpick some of her thoughts around technology and languages. But I can say hand on heart that Heidi is one of the big names in the US, which is why it would have been lovely to have an even bigger audience, but people will be able to watch the recording back. And yeah, so we're absolutely made up. We're delighted that Heidi is here and you're in for a real treat. So without further ado, I will hand over to Heidi, and I will be monitoring the chat, and good luck everyone. And yeah, enjoy. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Joe. I will go ahead, everyone, and share my screen with you all. And I will also drop into the chat the link to today's presentation. So
Can I just ask people, can I just interrupt to say, it'd be great if you could just turn off your videos at the moment, just because for some people that may use up bandwidth and it may mean it's difficult for them. So I will be muting everybody. If you could take off the video, that'd be great. Thank you.
And I'm going to turn off my video, but I'll have my audio on.
Awesome. All right, everybody. So I should be on, and you guys should see my screen right now.
Yep, all good.
Yep, awesome. Excellent. I'm going to go in full screen mode just so it's easier for everyone to see. All right. So good evening to those of you over in Europe. Good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast and the rest of the United States. I am honored to be here presenting with you all in this TILT workshop on app smashing with Google Geo Tools. As Joe said, I am Heidi Trude, and I'm going to give you a little bit of background about myself before we dive in. So let me just minimize one thing because I don't need to see my face. All right, so just a little bit about me is I am a French teacher at Loudoun Valley High School in Purcellville, Virginia, here in the United States. So to give you all a little bit of geography, especially those of you over in Europe, if you've ever gone to Washington, D.C., Purcellville is pretty close to D.C. Where I live, where I teach is also near Dulles Airport. So if you're flying into DC from an international flight, you will probably end up in my county in that airport. So if you ever come over to DC, you're probably going to be near where I am. So a little bit about me. I was the 2017 Virginia Foreign Language World Language Teacher of the Year. Then I went on to the regional competition where I was named the 2018 SCOLT Southern Conference on Language Teaching Language Teacher of the Year, and was one of 5 finalists for the ACTFL American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages Teacher of the Year finalist in 2019. Please feel free to reach out to me, connect with me on Twitter. My handle is htrude07. Feel free to email any questions to me at techietrude@gmail.com. And if you're looking for more resources about meaningful technology integration, anything related to tech in the language classroom, sorry that my Google slide bar is covering that right now, but you have access to the slide deck. Maybe that'll move in a second. My website is there, Tech with Trude, so sites.google.com/view/ oops, I misspelled my own website. That should be Tech with Trude. I will fix that as soon as we end this. Wow. I apologize for that, guys.
It's all good.
Oops. It probably was a Google autocorrect, so I apologize. My bad. So we'll keep going, but feel free to reach out to me at any time. And I am happy to answer your questions. Please feel free to take pictures, tweet during the presentation, ask questions in the chat at any time, and I am happy to answer those. So today we are dealing with AppSmashing with Google Geo Tools. I had already put the link in the chat for you all, but it's here again, so it's a bit.ly. I love using bit.ly in my classroom as well. It's an easy way to share links with students, so it's just bit.ly. Tilt Geo Tools, it is case sensitive, so just be mindful of that when you're typing it in. And feel free to use these tutorials in the presentation with your students if you want, with colleagues. You can totally share it out. That's totally fine with me. All right, today's learning objectives and goals. So our goals are to understand how to use Google Geo Tools to create app smashes in the world language classroom. And even if you're not a world language teacher and you're joining, this works in any content area. So what you're going to see, you could easily do in an English class, you could do in a history class, etc. Same principles can work and be cross-curricular. And also our second goal, to design lessons that integrate Google Geo Tools in the language classroom. And finally, to share ideas for using those Geo Tools and app smashing in the world language classroom. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right in. And the first thing I probably figured is good for us to discover, and some of you, this is probably a brand new term, but we're gonna look at the term of app smashing. It's a buzzword. If you go hashtag AppSmash or AppSmashing on Twitter, you'll see it popping up, but people are like, what is this app smash thing? Some people think, is it a tool? Like, what is it? Well, it's actually just a process. So all you're doing is you're taking multiple apps and you're combining them with another one to create a final task or a project. It's kind of like if you're baking in your kitchen and you're just mixing up a bunch of ingredients to create something really yummy or super awesome. That's all you're doing. You're just mixing different apps and tools together to create a super cool final product. So a couple years ago, Flipgrid, and they still had it this year as well, they had a competition for app smashing, which Joe mentioned to you all. And I created an app smash with my students. And that one actually ended up winning the Global App Smash Madness competition. So there was 16 people in total that were entered, and it was done through a bracket style, similar to March Madness here in the States, like the big basketball tournament, but they did it with app smashing. So this is where mine came into play. I created this project, and I'm going to take you all step by step because it's still probably one of my students' favorite projects that we do in class. It's had huge success and I love it. So we're just going to play with this, and I'll take you guys step by step through the process. And I've also included tutorials. So if you want to recreate this in your classroom, you have videos that will walk you through as well. So if you don't want to watch the recording, this one again, you can just open the slide deck, and there are YouTube videos that I created guiding you through each tool we're using. So we're using Google My Maps. Then we're going to use Screencastify. And the final step takes it to Flipgrid. So this project, here we go. And this is actually a video that kind of shows what the final product looked like. And I might play some of it for you all because it's me doing it. But basically, the goal was my students had to create a virtual tour of their town. And then we shared those with our partner school in France and had a whole collaborative discussion about the similarities and differences within our town. So I'm going to go ahead and just give you kind of a sample. This was my little sample of the town. So hopefully you guys can hear that.
Bonjour tout le monde. Voici un petit tour de la ville de Front-Royal. Here's a tour of the town of Front Royal. Voici une école. Elle s'appelle Skyline. OK? C'est une grande et bonne école. Voilà. Et ici, ça c'est un restaurant. Il s'appelle Joe's Steakhouse. C'est un bon restaurant américain. C'est près de notre lycée. Et là-bas, il y a une bibliothèque. Elle s'appelle Samuel's Public Library. C'est une petite bibliothèque moderne. Près de la bibliothèque, Il y a un supermarché. Il s'appelle Martin's. C'est un grand supermarché américain. Et il y a aussi un café dans la ville. Et il s'appelle Happy Creek Coffee and Tea. C'est un bon et petit café américain.
All right, so you get the hang of what's going on. So that basically is what the final project will look like once it goes in the Flipgrid. But that was just a YouTube recording of it without actually going into the Flipgrid. So I will show you guys and kind of take you through how this is going to work. So the project was in collaboration, like I said, with my partner school in France. And the students created the tours of their towns in French and in English to be shared with each other. The students then replied to each other's videos, commenting about their towns, noticing similarities and differences, etc. So all of it was hosted on Flipgrid, and I have a screenshot of what the grid looked like in the prompt. I also included, down in there, I included their links for them to Google My Maps, etc. So they had everything they needed in one place. The overall impact of this project was that my students not only were able to show their town, share their voice to describe their towns, but they also gained a better global perspective, and they were able to see how their towns are both similar and different to their peers in France. It also allowed my students to share what was meaningful to them. So places in town that was meaningful to them might not be places that are meaningful to me, but they would share some of their favorite restaurants. They shared things like their favorite cafe to go to. Some of them shared sports areas and ball fields, things, football field, soccer, etc. Things that were personal to them and unique to them in the town, which was probably different than what I would have highlighted if I was giving a tour to the town. So it really put that ownership on the students, and it really allowed my students to see that while we might be living in the United States here in Virginia, there are some similarities between their friends who are living in France, and there are some differences. So they were able to compare and contrast what that was like, and it was very, very powerful in the classroom. And then that's just a screenshot kind of blurred out of what it looked like on the grid. You could all see all their maps. Super cool. So how in the world do we create this? So we're going to go step by step, and I know some people might be familiar with some of these elements more than others. So probably the one you're not as familiar with is probably going to be the Google My Maps. And if you're not using this tool, it's one you definitely need to start using. So we're just going to dive right into My Maps. And again, step one is you're going to have the students create a unique map using map pins, images, and videos. So I am actually going to navigate away from my slide deck right now. But for those of you who want to come back to it and really dive in depth and you need that step-by-step video, it's there for you. I also included a slide deck that guides you through My Maps as well. So if you need that, or you want to share that with your students as they're creating to give them that support, you have those options within my presentation. So I'm going to jump to My Maps and just kind of demonstrate what we did in the project. All right, so here you are in My Maps, and this is not the part of maps you use to find directions to get to A to B. This is Google My Maps. So the first thing you do is you title your map. So I always remind the kids, give your map a title. So I'll just call this one Ma Ville, and I'll put demo. And then you could add a description if you wanted, like this is a tour of my town, whatever you want to call it. And then you can hit save. All right, so now it's saved. So next step we need to do is we need to find our town. So I'm going to go to my school's town, which is Purcellville, Virginia. Alrighty, here we are in Purcellville, and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so we can really get down into town. Oops, we might have zoomed too far. That's okay, we'll zoom us back a little bit. All right, so the first place I would include on my map is I have to decide where I'm going to go. So I want to go to my school, and I see my school right here. Yes, it says we're temporarily closed because of COVID. So I'm going to highlight my school. All right, so now I've found my school on the map. What I am going to do is I want to add it to my map. So that's my first step, which is called making a map pin. So I'm going to hit that plus sign and hit add to map. You now notice how it changed from that gray color it was. It now is blue. It's pinned to my map. You can see it over here. I can change that icon if I want. So I can go to my style button, the paint can, and I can change the color if I want. I can also look for a popular icon. So I'll open up those icons and I can find one if I want that looks like a school. So if I look at the places, I just gotta find where they put the school icon. School icon, where did you go? That's somewhere in there. We'll just pick one. I know it's a house, but it works. Sure. We'll pick that one for now. You can also customize and make your own icons if you want. Or I could have filtered it. I'll just do that for you all. School. And nothing comes up. That's cool. Well, I guess that's supposed to be children crossing. Okay, so there's the school. So I've changed my icon. You don't have to. That's just an option. The next thing I asked my students to do was to write about it. So they had to use the pencil tool, the editing tool, and here they could write a description. Since not everyone here is a French teacher, I will keep it in English just so we all share one common language. So you could say, this is Loudoun Valley High School. And then you could type some, just my students usually identified what is it. So they would tell me the name of the place and then describe it with some adjectives. So I could describe my school. Valley is a great school with an amazing student body and faculty. Bam. Now I have a description about our school. I can hit save. Don't forget to hit save. So now that gives a description, but then I can also pull in a photo or a video. So I can go to the camera button and I can add in. If I had one on my drive, I could pull something there from my computer. I can pull it in from my Google Drive. I can Google image search. I can search by the URL. I'll just do a quick Google image search for Loudoun Valley, since I don't think I have one on this computer. Go. Perfect. There's our school. So I can add that one in. And now we have a picture of my school right within our description. I can hit save and it's there. And if I'd want to add a second one, I could easily do that and just put it in, and then you've got it. And we should have that second picture. And you could also do a video. So that's your first step. And then you would pick another place in town to describe. So maybe I want to point out, introduce us to a restaurant. I would do the same step, add it to my map. I could change the icon if I wanted. Okay, this is a restaurant. This is a restaurant. It's called Smokin' Willie's. There we go. It's a great barbecue restaurant. And then I'd find the picture and do that same step. So my students did this for all theirs. I'm not going to search for a picture now because I think you all have got the hang of how that's working. But then you keep adding them, and I usually tell the kids to do at least 5 to 10 places because that gives them a good amount for a tour. So they would keep going around their town, just kind of dragging and picking their places. Some of them are probably going to pick Monk's Barbecue because that's also really good barbecue. Some might choose for a fancier restaurant. They might choose Magnolia's. As you can see, our town is not that big. But then they could find, we have our French cafe over here, Petit Loulou. They might pick that. If they wanted to highlight a grocery store, they could pick that. So they just kind of go around and find things. So if they wanted to feature one of our churches, and then they just click on their image, you add it to your map, use that pencil as your edit tool, and you can add in your description, and then the camera, you add in your video or your image. All right, so that's that part of maps. So pretty easy there. Nice and easy to do. And again, it saves all in your Google Drive, so you don't have to worry about that. So it saves in the cloud, so easy to go there. So do we have any questions on maps before we move to the next step?
No, not at all. The only question we've had so far is, could you clarify the age of the students?
Yes, these were high school students that were doing this.
Okay, so like 14-year-olds, that sort of age?
Yeah, so okay. Like 13, sometimes, well, it depends on when they become a freshman. So yeah, around 13, 14.
Fantastic. That's lovely. I think that was everything so far. I was in a bit of a panic then because I muted myself for a moment and then I wasn't able to unmute myself, but Helen's very kindly unmuted me now, so it's all good. Phew.
We're all good. Awesome. Glad we are all good, guys. And if you have questions on my maps, just feel free, throw them in the chat and I'll give you a second just to make sure we're okay so we all understand this step, because this is step 1. And I mean, you wouldn't have to do your town. You could have them go to a Francophone country. You could go to a Spanish-speaking country, a German-speaking country. So you could have them pick wherever, and they could do this in the target language. I'm just using English right now, so we have a common language among all of us, but this is our cute little town. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the slide deck for you guys. All right, and again, if you need a recap of how to do everything with my maps, it's right there for you. And there's also this awesome slide deck of mine that basically guides you through and even tells you, this is an older one of mine. So yeah, it says my old high school on it, so, but that's okay. The content is still good, but it'll tell you how to create the map. That's all in there, guides you through step by step. And I even give you like cooler, geekier things you can do with the Google Map. So if you want to go to like the really techie side, I show you how you can use Google Forms in my maps. So kind of a little AppSmash there where you can do some things with maps and import data. So kind of doing a little coding and fun stuff, but I'm not going to get into that in this webinar because that's a whole nother thing. So I'll just close that out. All right, so maps is your step 1. Step 2, that's the easy part. So step 2, you're going to open, I use Screencastify, but you could use any screen recording tool that you prefer. So you could use Screencastify, Screencast-O-Matic, you can use Loom, you can record with WeVideo, and now you can even record right within Flipgrid. So you have lots of options, but I chose, when I did this originally, I chose Screencastify because all my students had it on their Chromebooks at that point, and it's pretty great. So that's what we went with. So it's going to allow your students to create a virtual guided tour of their town using the map they've already created in My Maps. So this is kind of what it would look like once they have their map up. And then they would literally just open the Screencastify extension. And then when they're ready, they simply hit record. And if they wanted, they could have their webcam on. I told them they didn't have to. I just had them have their microphone on. And then they are guiding you through on these tours. If you need help with Screencastify, you have a quick little video here that guides you through setting it up, but it's pretty simple. There's also some resources that I put together for you on Screencastify. So I can show you, I don't know which browser, I forget which one I'm logged into. Yeah, I have it up on this one, so. All right, so if you wanted to do a screencast, and I'll just pretend I'm doing one just so you see how it works. So you have your icon up here in your Chrome extension bar. You would just simply hit it. It might take a minute to load. There we go. All right. So yes, it is, if you're on the free version of Screencastify, you do have a 5-minute limit per video in the free version, but your kids shouldn't be making a video that's more than 5 minutes on their town tour. So they would be fine. So if I would want to do a screencast, all I would do is hit record. I'm not actually going to record now because we could get some feedback, so I want to avoid that. But you would just hit record, And when you're done, you simply hit the stop recording button. Very easy, and it will save automatically to your Google Drive. So that's the one beauty of why I like Screencastify, because it's going right to your Google Drive. If you don't want to use that one, other one that I like to use is Loom, which is over here, so Loom. And Loom is free for educators, including their premium version. So that's just another nice little benefit. So that one opens. And then same deal with Loom. You can choose, do you want your screen and your camera? Okay, that's cool. Whatever.
I think that's because you got your video on.
Probably
in
I have my
Zoom.
video on and we're in this, so that's okay. It's not going to do screen and cam, but you'll see the idea of how it works.
Yeah.
So you've got screen only, you could have camera only. You can choose, do you want your desktop? Do you want your current tab? And then when I'm ready, I would hit start recording. You can move your little face around all the time. You can change your photo. I had a lot of fun using Loom and doing photos for the kids during distance learning. So, or you can get rid of it if you don't want it there. Goodbye photo. Nice and easy. So that's another option. Or you can just record it now, since Flipgrid made the upgrade this spring. You can record you can do the screen recording right within Flipgrid. So that's another little one, and I can show you that one just as another option. So I'll just go into
Can I ask a question, Heidi?
Absolutely, Joe.
Do you ever use the annotation tools in Screencastify with, say, mind maps? Because I was thinking for, say, directions or for like circling areas on the mind maps, that might be quite nice.
Yes, they could do that too. So yeah, like some of the kids, I let them kind of pick how they want to do it when they go in there, but absolutely you could do that.
Cool.
I'm just going to pretend I'm a kid, and we'll just play in. This is one of my demo grids, so it doesn't really matter what's in these. So just ignore this stuff because I just use these ones when I'm teaching people. So I'm just going to go on here like I'm a kid. Alrighty, and I'll show you this quick little trick. There we go. Give it a second. All right, so now we're just going to pretend I'm going to record a video. Alrighty. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, it might not let me do that. That's fine. Because I'm on Zoom. So that's great.
Yeah, but if
I turn my camera off.
Yeah, because I've done this myself when I've been presenting about Flipgrid. So if you just turn off your camera, it'll work.
There we go. We should be good now.
And then if you click retry camera.
Now we're good.
There you go.
There we go. Sorry about that, guys. All right. So it doesn't really matter if you see me right now, because the trick in Flipgrid, and I'll show you again how I got there. And there we go. You go to your 3 dots, and then you can screen record. So you technically can do this AppSmash right within Flipgrid after you do my map. So you can take one of the elements out now if you want. And the screen recording has worked really, really well on Flipgrid. Like, my students have had great success with that. The old way we had to do it was then do the screen record, then add the video. And coming out on Wednesday of next week, you'll even be able to have split screen videos in Flipgrid. It's going to be super cool. I probably wasn't supposed to share all that, but that's okay. I gave you guys more cool information. So let me get out of that one. Return. Get out of my Flipgrid. There we go. I'll put my camera back on so you guys can see me. All right. So that's what you could do if you want to use Screencastify, Loom, Screencast-O-Matic, use the screen recorder right in Flipgrid. Again, your choice. So you decide what works best for you and your students and what's easiest for them or what device they have. So again, your choice. All right. So there it is. If you need a tutorial, it's there for you. All right. And the final step is to allow the students to share their voice and their tour with the world. So this is the cool part. So this is when you get to put it out. They start publishing them to Flipgrid, and I am fortunate enough to have an amazing partner school. So we shared these with each other, but you could find a partner school on Flipgrid if you want, or reach out through, you can do like here in Virginia, our Department of Education, we have a lot of memorandum of understandings and agreements with different countries. So that's another awesome way, or Grid Pals. in Flipgrid is another way to do it. So then you finally upload it to Flipgrid, and this is just taking you through, this video takes you through the upload process and what that would look like. So if we were back in our grid here and I was a student, I'll become a student again. Here we go. Log in with Google. And we'll just pretend this is our grid. And I know it's going to tell me, let me turn off the camera. There we go. All right, so what I would do this time, say I did it as a screencast, I would come to add a video clip and I would find a video clip. Like I would find that video that I recorded. All right, these are just random videos. We'll just pretend I'm going to add a random video clip just so you guys see how it works. So we'll just add this video clip of whatever this may be.
Mr. Sheehan will help you with any.
Okay, so this is actually me doing a demo teaching lesson. So of demoing what distance learning would look like. So sure, we'll just pretend that's what we want to upload. I can record that. It's good. I would hit next. Oh, it's too long. Okay, so I have to shorten it because I made that. Whatever. Well, you get the idea. So that's all good. Cancel. I could update that in the topic and fix that. We'll just fix the topic. That's the easiest fix. So let's go to pencil tool. I'm just going to make it. Bam. Perfect. Update topic. Now I'll be the kid again. And in that one, confirm it. Do it again. Refresh it so it knows, hey, you've updated. Cool. All right, so we'll do that again just so everyone has that step down. Again, you're just going to go add a video clip, and this works for the kids. Like we do all kind of app smashes in my class where they're adding video files that they don't do within Flipgrid. We'll just pick something, pick this short little video. We'll open that again, pause it. We're gonna hit next. Okay, it still didn't recognize the change, whatever. But you guys get the point. You would hit next, then you take your selfie on Flipgrid, and then you're done, and it would show up in your grid. Sorry that Flipgrid is misbehaving right now. So that is how you would upload to Flipgrid. Questions so far?
We've had a couple of questions about the Grid Pals. So, for example, Helen has said, I was going to ask about how to get a partner school. This is obviously a good place to start. But she wondered if you could clarify about if it's, self-selecting, or how does Flipgrid confirm that the people that you're trying to connect with are actually educators, or what would your advice be around sort of e-safety in that regard?
Absolutely, great questions. So with Flipgrid, everyone who has a Flipgrid account, they do go through and certify that you are an actual educator. So everyone who is in are real teachers somewhere in the world. So they do check that, and safety is one of their #1 priorities. And you as an educator can choose if you want to be searchable or not. So you have that choice. So right now in my grid, I am active. So people can connect and reach out to me, and you get to choose what means you're putting up there for them to connect with you with. Like mine, I don't share all my personal contacts right on my Flipgrid. I put just my Twitter, and then I can choose if I want to accept your Twitter request or not. Or if you don't want people searching for you, you can hit that hidden, but I'm not going to change mine. I just did change mine, but I'll become active again. So you can literally, yes, here we go. Yes, I'm this, that's all cool. Enter my location. Here we go. I can spell my town. Maybe, there we go. All right, next. Okay, that is my location. Awesome. I'll fix that later. That's cool. Okay, we'll deal with that later. But you can search, and I don't know why mine's being like this. Okay, let's zoom us out. but anywhere you see the green plus signs is where there is an educator that you can connect with.
So for example, if you found an educator who looked interesting, what have you, how would you connect with them? Can you send them a message, or how does that work?
So I'll show you. I'll try to get the map to zoom in. The map is being a little unfriendly at the moment. Give it a minute to populate.
That's okay, don't worry, it's fine. It's really interesting.
All right. Here we go. All right, so I'm just going to click a dot here. We'll get a random dot. We'll see who we get. Come on. There we go. Okay, so this person, I'll scroll up so you guys can see who it is. So this is Tamara. They are pre-K, and this is librarian, technology coach. So this is all that they teach, supposedly. And then you have their Facebook that you can contact and connect with there. So you could reach to this person through Facebook. If I click another person, try another dot. Okay, Rosanna. Rosanna teaches high school and middle school, languages, literature, linguistics, English language and lit, world languages. You can reach out to Rosanna via Twitter. Now, some of them will come up. I'm just gonna try another one, see if I can get someone to come up with the button that I want it to show you. Because some of them have a send invite and it'll send an email to them. Okay, this person doesn't, but this is Tomas, and he is an instructional coach, and he has his Skype and LinkedIn there. So again, it's different people will put different ways to connect, but some have the little button that says like send an invite. Okay, they don't.
Yeah, that's really nice. I've not explored GridPals before.
Yeah,
so
GridPals is awesome. And you can
yeah.
search it and filter. So right now there's 28,495 people that you're available to connect with. You can search it by grade. So you can kind of go down that way. You can search it by subject area, or you can search for a specific person. So if you knew of someone that you wanted to connect with, you could search by name too. So I'll fix mine as soon as we're done, so I'll be active again. So if anyone wants to connect with my students, that's totally fine, and you can search me on GridPals, but I'll fix that afterwards.
Cool. So essentially, it's a vehicle for an individual teacher to find another individual teacher, and then to make the learning happen collaboratively.
Yep.
Yeah,
and you can choose to be whatever you want it to be, however you want it to be, and then they tell you more about it. Like if I click here, it takes you to their blog post that tells you all about GridPals, what it is, how it works. So I can even make sure I share that so you guys can have that, how to do it, since I didn't put that into my presentation, but these are just tweets, like people sharing like what they did, how they connected. It can be anything you want it to be. And then you just make the person who you're sharing a co-pilot. So that basically means that they share your grid with you. So like if I go back to mine, go back here, come back. There we go, go to my grids. And we'll scroll down to, where is it? I have so many grids. There it is. Like this one is with my partner school. So this was the one we did lots with at my old school, but my teacher, he's a co-pilot in there, so I can manage my co-pilots, and I can, if I would want to remove him, which I'm not, I could remove him. I could invite someone else to co-pilot. So if you want to work with more than one teacher or more than one class and have them on the same grid, you can. So this is one we did all kinds of topics together, talking French, English, etc. Our projects are in there as well. So that's how we communicated all of our conversations with our partnership. All right.
That's
Other
really
questions?
helpful. Thank you. That's great.
Of course. Other questions you all may have
no,
about that? Nope,
yeah, not so far. I think we're
awesome.
Oh, well, Kay Ferris has asked about the navigation with the sort of privacy public setting, or I don't know if you have time to talk about moderation, because obviously there's other things you wanted to cover, but
no, I'd be happy to answer that one.
Okay.
All right, so with this one, what you can do with grid, and I'll go back to my demo grid because I don't want to mess up one of my other grids. Okay.
Yeah, so we've had the question about sort of safeguarding and privacy. So obviously with a grid, you can make a grid completely private. You can moderate every single video.
So if I go into this lovely little grid here, there we go. So you guys will see, this is the demo grid. You can choose these options here. So this one I just set up so only people in my organization can get in. You can also, if I was lucky, my partner school, they have a email account, so I can put that in there. And that's how we keep ours just moderated between our schools. You can also do it, those of you here in the US, you can use student IDs if your students don't have a Gmail or a Microsoft email address, or you can keep it on the public grid, but you can password protect this as well. So if you go to this option, and I'll just pretend I'm gonna do that because this is a demo grid, so it doesn't matter. All right, you can password protect. So I can put here and I could make up some password for it if I wanted to. So you can change them around. But usually if you can, do it with the email tied to it, and you can put multiple organizations in there. So that works really well. Because I've done some between different schools here in the US where my students talk with other students and they're in a whole different domain because we're Loudoun, and then they were in a whole other district in Virginia. So we just had both groups emails there, and that worked fine. All right. Anything else?
No, I think that's fine. Negin in the chatter said, what were all these works done during the lesson? But I suppose it's just like it's a mixture. Presumably, some things are done at home, some things are done in class. Is that right with Flipgrid? Yeah, with Flipgrid, I mean, some of the time we do them in class, some of the time they do them at home. It all depends. But for the project, a lot of this project that I've been showing you, my students did do most of it in class. Fantastic.
All right.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. All righty, guys. So there we go. All right. So if you need the Flipgrid tutorial, it is there. So that is basically how you do the AppSmash. And I'll show you, because I did one within that grid, just so you guys can see what the final looks like. I'll go to my grid and show you. Gotta find it again. Okie dokie. I'm pretty sure it's this one. There's mine. So I made kind of an example one.
Bonjour tout le monde. Voici un petit tour de la ville de Front-Réal. Here's a tour of the town of Front Royal. Voici une école.
So then you see the same thing, basically what I showed you all at the beginning, but then it just comes into the Flipgrid. And of course, I didn't tell anyone to reply to me because, well, I'm the teacher and I didn't want the kids replying to mine. There was no need. So, but they could very easily hit that reply button and then just record a reply when it would load. But I'm not going to reply to my own video because that would just be weird.
Bonjour tout le monde.
And then you could give your students feedback if you wanted as well within the Flipgrid. So that's what it looks like when it gets to the final. They're all there. There's your link to Google My Map. So everything is all in one spot. And it's amazing. And we're just going to go back to there and hit present. Awesome. All right, so that was that AppSmash. And the other tool that Joe asked me to touch on with you guys a little bit was using Tour Creator and Expeditions, because they AppSmash very nicely together. And these are ones that I used this year a lot with my AP classes, because these tools, when you combine them, not only are you creating a virtual tour, but then you can use a virtual reality, Google Cardboard viewers, and actually have the students lead their tours. So this is really cool. Okay, so for those of you who aren't familiar with the Tour Creator, I'm going to show you Tour Creator. And I forget which link I put here. Oh, these are actual examples of them. And I'm just going to go to my Tour Creator first and show you all what that looks like. This is just one I've been playing with to kind of have a demo one to play with. So again, you just go to Tour Creator. And if you were starting a new tour, you would hit New Tour. Or you can pick one that's already made. So they have templates, so you can pick one out if you would like and take a little peek. So you can see what's already in there and you can tweak and adjust any of these.
Heidi, sorry, could you turn your video back on if that's okay? Simply because obviously you turned it off for the Flipgrid demo.
I'm sorry about that. I forgot.
That's all right. That's no problem.
Hey, no worries. Sorry about that. Thanks for reminding me.
No problem.
All right. So you guys could pick from the templates if you wanted to, or you can just go back and you can start from scratch by starting a new tour. I'm going to just play around in this demo one that I have going on this account. I have so many Google accounts that I have tours here, there, and everywhere. So we're just playing in this one. All right. Okay. It's there. That's cool. All right, Tour Creator. That's the right account. Whatever. Okay.
Is it under templates maybe? Is that because that's one of the demo? No?
No, it was my own, but that's okay. It was there earlier. It was literally there when I set everything up today. Cool beans. Let me see. Oh, I see what's going on. I just need to sign into Google again. Hang tight. School update in the middle of the presentation. This is awesome. There we go. Now we should be good. Now we'll go back to Tour Creator. Alrighty. All right, so here's what it looks like when you log in the first time. We'll just try this again. If it's not there, I'll just make one from scratch. Or I'll just play on one. There it is. Okay, here we go. All right, so the first thing you do within it is you create your title page. So I already have this in, and this is when I started off of a template, but then I've started modifying and changing things around. So you put in your home picture. If you don't like this one, you could delete it and put another picture in that you want. What you can do too is you can write it all in your target language. So if you wanted your students to get rid of this text, no problem, that can go away. So maybe I'm gonna put this is a tour of France, of Paris. Keep it nice, short, and sweet. There we go. If you wanted to pick a category for it, you could pick a category. So maybe I want to make this, let's see, we'll say travel and leisure. Sure. And then I could hit publish when I'm ready, but not quite yet. So then I could pick my next stop. So, and you can add your pages in, but I've already put these in. And then here's your description. Here are your pictures, which it's not loading, but it was a 360 picture, which is not loading right now. Other thing that I like, you can add narration. So this is really cool. So the kids can actually record and describe it. So when they show it off, you're actually hearing the kid's voice. So that's a cool thing there. Maybe it'll load on another one. Okay, there we go. That one loads, cool. Excellent. So again, here you can add, you can decide where you want your starting view to be. So if I want to change it, I could rotate my picture around. So maybe I want to start over here, like set this to be my starting view. I could hit save, and that's what they'll see first when they see it. You can add little hotspots around, so the little info markers, and those will just guide the students to more information as they see it.
We've had the question, Heidi, about whether you can create this on an iPad, or does it have to be done in the web browser on a desktop?
That I am not sure, because I don't use iPads. It works beautifully on Chrome. I know you can view the expeditions through the iPad once you do it, but I am not an iPad expert. at all.
I think
I don't want to misguide someone.
No, that's fine. I think you have to do it in the web browser. I don't think you can create it.
I want to say that's correct, but I don't
We'll have
want
to check. I think that's right. And in relation to adding a scene, could you just, I mean, not necessarily right now, but someone asked in the chat about how do you add the page? How do you add how do you add a scene? And then obviously I'm sure you'll go into scene narration and all those other fun things for languages.
So it'd be nice if I could move my little, there you go. There's my scroll bar. So I could just hit add a scene. So I have all these already in, but there we go. Let me move my Zoom toolbar.
Perfect.
There we go. So you have all these already in here, but you say I wanted to get rid of one, and I don't mind because this is like my little playground. So I can just dump one of these and I can put it back in later. So maybe I don't want La Défense. I can delete it. Are you sure? Yes. And then it's gone. So then if I wanted to add something back in, I would just go to add a scene and then I could pick something else. So I'll just put something random in here to show you guys. So I could just take Pigman and let's go to Paris. We'll go somewhere else in Paris. All right, so we're gonna go here. All right, where do I want to drop Pigman? Where do we want to go, Pigman? Let's just drop you somewhere. Let's zoom in. Take Pigman. Pigman, we're gonna go to the catacombs. Okay, there we go. Put you near the catacombs. You're sort of not really there, but that's okay. We'll take you somewhere else. Get a pre-picture. Let's go into Luxembourg Gardens. Oh, okay, now you showed up the catacombs. Awesome, cool. All right, so if I want to use this one, that's perfectly cool. I'm gonna take that scene. I'm gonna hit add a scene, which you're not really seeing. There we go. So now you have it and you could title it. Here we go, Catacombs. Catacombs of Paris. Write whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. These are, wow, I can't type today, guys. These are the catacombs. Catacombs, not catacombs, Heidi. There you go. And then you could write whatever else you wanted. If you wanted to add in some ambient audio, you could do that. If you wanted to add a scene narration, you could do that. If you want to put a point of interest in there, so maybe you wanted someone to focus on something like the bone structures, I could move it around and I could describe it. So if I knew specifically what this structure was, like I could do some research and I could add any points of interest within them. So I'm going to get rid of that point of interest because I don't have anything to say about it. But that's pretty much how you add them in. So if you were happy with this and you were ready to publish it, I can publish. And then I can choose, do I want it public or do I want it unlisted? And again, that's your choice on privacy settings. So again, it's going to affect who can see it. Unlisted could be viewed with anyone with the link. It won't be searchable on the web or anything like that. So I'll just make mine unlisted for now. And then I can hit publish. All right, and sometimes it takes a second or two.
I did this the other day, Heidi, when I basically went through and created a tour with about 8 different scenes. I can't remember exactly, but when I published it, it only published one of the scenes. Do you think there was something obvious I did wrong? Or
no,
I think I did everything correctly. Like I did each scene at a time. I clicked add scene each time, but when I published it, it only published the first scene.
Okay, well here's mine, which well, we're not even seeing
it must be something I did wrong. I don't know, but I just wondered if you thought.
Sometimes it's glitchy. Like I've learned with my students, it can sometimes be glitchy. Like they're like, and I've seen their pictures are there. And then when you go and look at it, you get this nice black screen like mine. Like sometimes, there we go. This one's coming. Okay, so even if you don't have the headsets to view them, you can still see it this way. And it's really cool how it'll move it around. You can move it around like I'm sometimes not the best at moving this around. There we go. That's a little better. So you guys can kind of move it around. You could hit the info points and then it's going to come up and tell you what you're zooming on. After you've looked at this scene, you could go to the next one and it would load. And then if you want, you can share them out. So this time you can share the link. You could also share it out on Facebook, on Twitter. Here's the cool part. You can share it to expeditions. So if you wanted your kids to actually use the Google Cardboards, you can share it to expeditions. You would hit expeditions, and then you would connect your device, like your phone, your iPad, etc. I don't have a device over here with me right now. My phone's in another room. So I'm not going to take the time to go get my phone, but it would then connect. We had ours all connected up when we do this, like the kids create them, we link them so they come to my expeditions account, and then we view them with the cardboard headset. So I'm not going to waste time and connect right now. But that's a brief little.
Am I right in saying that when you create the tour in Tour Creator, it actually syncs automatically to Expedition? So it'll appear under my Expedition. So you don't actually have to click on the Expeditions option. It will automatically do it.
Yep,
right?
And should go into your library on your Expeditions app.
Awesome.
And it's there. Got it. There we go. So yes, I liked it. I don't know why I liked my own tour, but I did. All right, so that's kind of a little overview of Expeditions. And then I linked Tour Creator right there with you. These are just examples, which I have right here. So these are some of the examples that we've built to give you ideas. There we go. If you need more resources on the VR and the Google Geo Tools, I linked one of my slide decks here for you all that goes more in depth, because I just planned today to do an overview of them. So this whole slide deck, when it opens up, here we go. Move that back down. So this goes through all of using virtual reality in the language classroom. It's filled with tons of ideas, history of VR, tutorials, all that. So you all have access to that. And this is a presentation I gave at ACTFL this past November. So you all will have that. If you want to share ideas for using virtual reality or using AppSmashing, you have a Padlet here that you can add to, and there's already lots of ideas that have been thrown on there and resources. So you can always add ideas. It's an open Padlet, it's ongoing, so you can just keep searching. And there's all kind of good stuff there. Okay, more resources for expeditions. So these images are all hyperlinked. So all you have to do is hover over each picture and it takes you to a resource. So that's for you all to explore on your own. And then these are just some great books for using Geo Tools in the classroom. So Google Cardboard book, really great book, super quick read. So that one's a good one to look at. This one over here, if you really want to do a deep dive with the Google Geo Tools, bring the world to your classroom. It goes through each of the Google Geo Tools. There is lots of practical resources in this book, and it's hyperlinked right to it. And then if you want to do more with virtual reality, that one is also Learning Transported, another really good read, and that's linked there too to take you to those books. And that is the link again to the presentation. So at this time, I will happily answer any questions that anyone may have. Like anything is fine if it's Flipgrid related, maps, AppSmashing, like other AppSmashing ideas, because I AppSmash with more than just Google Geo Tools. We AppSmash with Snapchat in my class. We AppSmash with Book Creator, Adobe Spark, you name it. So any question is fair to ask right now.
Fantastic. So there aren't actually any questions in the chat, but I've got a couple of questions if it's okay.
Absolutely.
So first of all, well, or ideas I think it would be helpful to show for the audience. So one suggestion is, could we get an idea on how to add the audio in the point of interest? You know, when you can add a narration, can you just give us an idea on how to do that? That would be one idea. And secondly, if it's possible to give people a flavor of how to moderate videos in Flipgrid? Because I know that's a big question for lots of people.
Okay, so we'll just
and
say
how to send private feedback to people as well, if that's okay in Flipgrid.
Absolutely. So if you wanted to add audio, you would just come here to add scene narration, and then you would have to use another file type and record it on there. So you could use like Vocaroo as an easy, quick tool that you could use to record your audio file and then drop it in. Let me see if I can find an audio file on my computer. Okay, it's taking its time. There we go. Working on it. Okay, AP French, blah, blah, blah. Sure, we'll just throw some AP French in there. Why not? Why not? Okay, so then you would have an audio file. Obviously, I would never put an AP French narration in here, but for sake of time, you would just hit add. And then it's there. Or it will be there. Why aren't you showing up? It says it's there, so. And then it would play. And now I just removed it. But that would be how you do audio. Okay, next one is back to Flipgrid. All right, so moderation. Let me go back to my demo grid because I don't want to mess up my other grid settings. All righty, so back into my playground. Okay, so we'll just play on this one. And you're gonna go, anytime you wanna edit in Flipgrid, you go to your pencil tool. And these are in your settings, so you keep scrolling down. There it is, video moderation. So new videos will be hidden from the students until you activate them. So if I turn that on, the green button turns it on, and that is going to moderate it. So now only I, as the teacher, see those videos. The kids don't see each other's, they just see a green plus sign. So I'll go back to student view, I'll save that, update my topic. If I go here now, when I come in as a kid, here we go. All right, blah, blah, blah. Now that one's there because I had already recorded that one before it was moderated, but now it's moderated so I wouldn't see anymore. After, if someone tries to record another response, you won't see it. But since I made that one earlier, it's hanging out there. But now it says moderated, so if I record, I will see it on my side as a teacher, but the kids don't see each other. So I could go back in here and I could turn this one to hidden. So now the kids don't see that one either. So if I go back, if I refresh this page, there we go, log back in, wait for it. There we go. All right, so now, even though we know that video is there because you guys saw it, it's gonna show us 0 responses. There have been responses, but it's just moderated. So I can activate them. So if I want my video to show up, and I've watched the kids' video and I'm like, yeah, this is a fine video, I can just go to active and then it will reappear and it will show up there. So now that video is there. So it's just a way to check your videos before you put them out, or if you never want the kids to see each other, so you're using it for an assessment, you can totally do that. Like in my county, I do all my common performance assessments. They're speaking assessments. I do them all through Flipgrid, so I keep all of those. Here they are. All of those are moderated. So anytime you see the hand, that tells you it's moderated. So I see their videos, but nobody else. The kids don't see each other, so they're all nice and secure. So that's how you do video moderation. Now, the other question was video feedback. So we'll just go back to that demo grid. All right, so go to the demo.
You have student-to-student feedback, don't you? You have student-to-student feedback, but then you have private teacher-to-student feedback.
Yeah, so teacher feedback, very easy. So I'm gonna go here. And okay, so I'm now viewing this as a teacher. So this is what you see, and they're actually gonna change and have a couple more options that show here. On August 5th, they're gonna clean this up a little bit. So feedback will be a little nicer. So I'm just gonna click my video. I'm not going to watch it. We'll pretend I watched my
Bonjour,
video,
class.
blah, 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 whatever I said. I'm sure it's great. And over here, you have your grading rubric. So I have ours set up according to our scales and our categories we use in my district. You can edit this to whatever you want. So then you can do a drop down. Yes, was I comprehensible this time? I'm sure I was. So I can give myself a 5. Maybe my pronunciation wasn't so great that time. Did I use self-correction? Yes. Did I talk on topic? Yes. Did I use vocab? Yes. Maybe I made a mistake in my structure, so maybe I'll take off a point there. Sure, I used my correct register. Was I very organized? Of course. And then I could type some comments like, great job with your recording. Watch the past tense, for example, or something like that. Whatever you want to type them. You could also record individual student video feedback to the student. So I could open this up. It's going to get mad at me because my camera's on. So I'll just put stop video. There we go. Allow. Retry. There we go. And then I could record whatever feedback I would want to the student. We'll just pretend I'm recording, blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Great video. I'm so proud of you. Hit next. Blah, 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 blah. There we go. Take a selfie. I'm not going to put all the stickers on there. And then there's my feedback. And it can be emailed or copied and shared with your student. So I would hit complete. And then
Bonjour classe, je m'appelle Ma.
And then there's my video feedback. So it's there to download. I can send it to the student. It's emailed to them. So I could hit email feedback and that'll go right to my student, basically me, since I did this one. It'll go right to my email. Or I could copy it and post it in my learning management system as well. So I'll just hit email feedback. And that's how that works.
But at the same time, if you had moderation turned on so that only you get to see the students' videos, presumably you could click on the feedback option underneath the video thumbnail as well, because only you and the student would see the feedback. Is that right?
So if I'm in student view, and I'll go back to student view, the student view, and we're not moderated right now. This is what the student will see. So the students, so if they wanted to listen to mine, they could.
Bonjour.
And they don't get the other, they can just reply and reply back and say bonjour, je m'appelle, blah, blah, blah. So they can reply back, but they're not going to, they could give whatever feedback you wanted them to give, but it's just replying at the conversation.
Sure, but that's because you've made the video, whereas if a child had sent you the video and you had moderation turned on and you gave feedback, then the other students wouldn't be able to hear that feedback, would they?
No.
Right. So it's just another option.
The teacher does feedback, any teacher feedback, that's always private, even if it's not moderated. Teacher feedback, it's always teacher to that student. It's always private. Other students will never hear the feedback you give because that's private and that's individual to the students.
Right, even if the videos were unmoderated.
Right, even if they're unmoderated, the video feedback you give the students, it's only heard by that individual student because it's all linked to their email.
Right, okay. Okay, I didn't realize that. I thought that if you clicked on the 2 speech bubbles underneath any video.
No, that's just replying, so that's just continuing the conversation. So that's when I had my students talk with the students in France and they did that compare contrast, that's the reply. I have my kids, especially in AP, I have them do feedback to each other. So they go and they reply. They usually give constructive criticism of what was good in their response because we practice the cultural comparisons a lot as Flipgrids. So the kids will reply back, I liked your comparisons, or did you also consider this, or maybe you should consider this, or use these transition words. So the kids in AP, they'll give each other that detailed feedback. But in a novice level class, like my French 1s and my 2s, they might just reply or pose a question and then a classmate responds in that way. So that's how I use that reply feature with the lower levels.
Fantastic. Do you know of people that use this with primary at all? Because that was another question in the chat.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh
Right.
my gosh. So if you go here to this part called the Disco Library, this is so cool. So this, you can search for topics by other teachers for free. So you could come down here, scroll down. You can pick your audience. So if you're looking for something elementary, there we go. And you wanted whatever subject area you want. Let's just pick something. I don't know, I'll pick something. Language arts. There we go. And then, or you could put a specific topic, but these are all topics that are for elementary learners. So if you wanted to use one of these, like, I'll just pick this one, book review. Okay, so this one was sharing a review of a book you finished reading, telling a short summary without any spoilers, etc. So if you wanted to use this topic, so maybe your kids are reading a book and they're going to talk about that book, you could just select the grid you want it to go to. So maybe I want it to go to my demo grid, and then I would just hit add. Bam. I could change it up if I wanted to. I could change this. I could edit anything in here. I could change the time. Maybe I want the kids to have a 2-minute limit. Maybe I want these moderated. I could put on moderation. If I wanted to give them a topic tip, I could do that. I could add any attachments, maybe a list of books to pick from if I wanted to. I always keep those the same. I don't change anything here. And then you could change your feedback if you wanted. And then update topic. And you just created a new topic that you found from the Disco Lab.
Yeah, that's really useful, isn't it? That's lovely.
Yeah, oh my gosh, there's so many topics in here that you can just like go through, and they always have featured topics. Like here in the States, we have the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So they have, this is all going through the Met. There's tons of ideas in that one. They have one for remote learning. I think it's this one. Yeah, so these are just like some home learning experiences, conversations you could have with your students that have been under the remote learning topics. So these are just great ones that you could use as starters in classes. So there's so much. You can literally spend hours searching in this part for topics, and then you could just take them and like adapt them to your classes. If you want to explore California state parks, they have a topic for that even. They have some for World War II, race, equality, equity and justice, Breakout EDU, Nearpod, Wonderopolis. They're really cool. So here's from BBC. They have stuff as well.
Yeah, it's
there's
fantastic,
all
isn't it?
kinds of stuff.
You're giving us lots of homework. It's wonderful. I love it.
Lots of things you can do within Flipgrid. So other questions that you all may have?
Well, I think that's essentially were all the questions. I mean, one, I know we're going to sort of wrap up.
Can I just ask if you could just show your video, Heidi? Because it'd be nice to take a picture of everybody before, because I know there are some people.
And I'll stop screen sharing too, so I can stop the screen share. There we go.
Great. If everybody could just open up their videos, that would be lovely to have a nice picture. And then if anybody needs, because we could go on forever. Because
I can talk forever.
Yeah, but you've got so much to give. It's fantastic. But I know there are people who are a bit embarrassed who are having to say, oh, I've got to go. So it'd be nice to see people. So I'll just get a gallery view of everybody, and it would be lovely to have a picture. Oh, look at all those nice smiling faces there. So we did have more. Some people were very apologetic because they had to go, but that'd be lovely. So is everybody showing themselves? Okay. So here goes. I'm going to take a couple. Here goes. And you're right in the middle, Heidi, there. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And I'll do one more as well. And, oh, for some reason, got over there. And another one. And 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much. That's really good. Lovely. And what I do is that, because people have been asking about saving this and this sort of thing. So I know that Jodale 100 on YouTube is where you'll find, that's a very quick way of just getting the recording. But as I said right at the beginning, we'll have a page, a Heidi Trude page, which I sense is going to just be growing and growing. There's so much you've got to give us, where I'll put a link to the recording and also all the links that you've given us. So thank you so much. That
Absolutely.
Really was absolutely
My pleasure.
Really
and feel
good.
free, reach out anytime on Twitter, reach out on my email. I am happy to work with any of you all one-on-one. Oh, I'm seeing all your sweet messages in the chat now. Of course, you're welcome. De rien.
It's lovely.
And it was lovely to see. We were just saying how calm you were as well. I mean, that's part of
you. It means a lot.
Thing. If things don't worry, you just have that very sort of calm way. Oh well, we'll manage that. We'll do that.
It's all good. Like you never know here. Like I was actually worried that the power might go out because we're supposed to get thunderstorms coming in at some point today. I'm like, you can storm after the webinar. Like you can rain as much as you want, but don't let the power go out.
Yes.
Because it's been doing that here. Like anytime we have a thunderstorm, power goes out. So I'm like, it can't storm until after this.
You did brilliant. I think I've stolen. Joe normally does an official thanks, and then I thank Joe. So Joe, over to you.
No problem. Thanks, Helen. That was yeah. So as I expected, fantastic presentation, Heidi. Thank you so much. And I think particularly with Flipgrid, giving some things that I think people haven't seen before, particularly like grid pals and how you can take other examples of other videos and then put them into your own account. I think that's absolutely brilliant. And the whole the AppSmash at the beginning, that was lovely. And then the tour creator giving people an insight on what they can do. It was fabulous. It was really good. And I could see that lots of people hadn't seen Tour Creator before, so that was really useful. One of the questions I had and also was said in the chat, if you wanted to find out more about virtual reality and augmented reality through World Language Teachers, are there people who you would recommend either in the States or elsewhere? Because I've obviously been interested in this area as well for quite a few years now, and there aren't that many people. I mean, your name comes up all the time in relation to virtual reality and languages, but
in terms of languages, there's not many of us who go so in depth with it. Like I even have, and I didn't even show it to you all. Like I've done app smashing with virtual reality. Like you can smash. I have a grid where we did actually with cardboard camera app and Flipgrid. So the kids are actually wearing the headsets and they're hearing like their partner in France describe the scene, and then they're seeing the scene in the 360. So it's so cool.
Wow.
Yeah, like that's a whole other techie realm to go to. I kind of mentioned it in the slide deck that I shared with you all that's linked on my virtual reality. Maybe it's in there, maybe I didn't put it in there. Because it's in one of my presentations, I share that one, but there's not, like, there are some people who aren't language teachers that I follow that are VR experts, but in terms of the language community, there's not many. But yeah, definitely the books I suggested, those are great books to read and they're rather reasonable. Like my favorite is the Google Geo book, and they're wonderful educators. Another awesome one, he's not a language teacher, but he's an instructional technology coach, is Michael Fricano. He's out in Hawaii. He's kind of my go-to if I need help with something. I just reach out to Michael. He's fabulous.
That's great. I know there's Jamie Donnelly as well, isn't there?
Yes, Jamie Donnelly as well. She's all over it. But between Jamie and Michael, I've never met either of them in real life. Well, technically, I've met Michael through Flipgrid because he actually recorded a Flipgrid, which is in that presentation for me about using VR. So I kind of had a geek moment when I was like, oh my God, you reached out. You went on my Flipgrid and you made a comment like about virtual reality. Like I was like kind of fangirl moment. It happens sometimes.
That's lovely.
When I meet people.
That's fantastic. I think it would be lovely in the chat if people want to share their Twitter handles, if people want to connect. Heidi obviously is HTrude07.
Yep.
I'm at Joe Dale, so feel free to share your Twitter handles. But I think those are all the questions. I'll just double check, but I think that's
and if there's a question that you had that we didn't answer, feel free to email me, reach out on Twitter again. I'm going to save the chat and go through too. So if I see any that we missed, I'll just let Joe know and we can put those with the recording and everything. So.
And also, I sense these webinars are going to be going on and on. So certainly you've obviously got absolutely loads to share. And I know you're doing loads of other webinars elsewhere, but it's special, isn't it, when you come to us as well? It's really good.
Like, this is my first time doing a global one, so thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised it's the first one, Heidi. I'm surprised that people haven't reached out, because I think you're amazing. So
thank you. Like, that means so much coming from you, Joe.
Well, my pleasure, my pleasure. What another really good question, which I tried to well, anyway, I answered also, but I'd love to know what you think. So Jamina has said, I've used Google Maps and Tour Creator, but not Expeditions. What does it add to the learning experience? So I sort of said, well, if you have Google Cardboard, then it's more personalized.
If you have Google Cardboard, it adds a whole nother realm. Like, it's totally immersive. If you're just using Tour Creator, they're watching it on your screen in your classroom. But if you add that extra step with the cardboard, they're completely immersed. And my kids, they say, like, that's one of the coolest things we do is when we use the Google Cardboard, because they're complete immersed in that. And then especially if you have the ambient sounds recorded with it, they're hearing what's going on there too. So they're hearing like the street noise, everything. If it's like a Paris street, they're hearing the Paris street sounds. Or if they're in Morocco, they hear the sounds of the market. So adding that element of Expeditions basically just, I say it takes it up a notch and really makes it a full immersive experience for the kids.
Yeah, fantastic. Have you played around with the children recording their own audio descriptions in the target language and then pulling them into Tour Creator?
Not as much, just because I was planning to this spring, but then, well, we got put on lockdown and
yeah,
we know what that's like.
Yeah.
Not a lot of learning happened. We tried our best, but since it wasn't required of the students to really do our work during that time, a lot of them didn't. So.
Right.
But it's going to be different this fall. So I'm going to try different things, just doing it from a distance. So it will be very fun and interesting.
Fantastic. One of the things that we've noticed through these webinars is that because people have maybe had a bit more time to be creative and to do, masses of professional development, is that when people have done, for example, escape rooms or virtual adventures, there's been a lot of sharing and creating of escape rooms that have taken a long time to make. And I think that even though a few people have said, it took me hours and hours and hours to make this, but at least the children really liked it. I know, Helen, you made one that was for your students for French, wasn't it, about going to a location in France? But it's been a nice opportunity. I think teachers have had the time to create these sorts of resources that normally they wouldn't have the time to do, but because of lockdown they maybe had a bit more time to do that, or they decided to do that, and that's been a really lovely sort of creative experience for everyone.
Absolutely. I think our teachers now, we've been more collaborative during the lockdown. I know especially in the US Facebook groups, there's just so much collaboration going on, and I know I've found myself being more creative even this summer because I can't travel, so I'm just playing on my computer pretty much every day and making new things and sharing them out and building websites. So
no, it's amazing. It's fantastic. I think those are all the questions. There's so many things I'm sure we could but we'd love you to come back, Heidi, and do another presentation.
I would absolutely love to come back, and any topic you want, I'm happy to do it.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I think that'd be amazing. I think because it's been so lovely having people coming along tonight from the States and what have you, and I think we would love to have you back in the autumn term for sure.
Absolutely. You got it. Just name a date. I will be there.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. I think that's everything. I think we've wrapped up. Anything else, Helen, you wanted to add?
Well, just to say, to thank you, and to thank you, Joe, as well, for bringing us all together. I always do acknowledge, say that, because you bring us together, but then also the way that you follow the chat and, ask the questions. It's great. So thank you very much. Thanks to everybody, and thanks to everybody for coming, and lovely audience as well. Isn't it lovely where you see people just participate and join in? And we always say this, Heidi, you will enjoy reading through as well to see the thanks as people, have left. They've said how much they've enjoyed it. So, and great to know that you're going to be coming back. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, we'd love you to. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Thank you so much. That's great. Lovely.
I'll stop the recording now.
Perfect.